Hey everyone, and welcome to The Explainer. I want to kick things off today by asking you a really honest question. Are you feeling totally fatigued by the endless, hyper-competitive, profit-at-all-costs business grind? I mean, it seems like every single day we're hearing about another company just burning out its workforce or cutting corners, all to squeeze out a tiny bit more margin. It's exhausting, right? And frankly, it often feels completely unsustainable in the long run. But what if there was a profoundly different way to operate? A way that doesn't just, sustain a business, but actually elevates the entire society around it? Well, today we're going to explore a truly fascinating alternative model. We are looking at a massive paradigm shift, moving from a pure profit focus to a powerful contribution-first mindset.
So here's our roadmap for today. We're going to start with the 13 weapons for success, move right into dependent origination in business, explore the win-win worldview, break down the ultimate 5-step strategy, and finally, we'll reveal the path to true success. All right, let's dive in. Section 1. 13 Weapons for Success. Our foundation for today's explainer is Ryuho Okawa's book, Winning Strategies for Leaders. Now, the subtitle alone sets a pretty bold premise, utilizing people and organizations to create new value. The book essentially outlines 13 distinct weapons, or strategic frameworks, really, for leaders to yield tangible results. But here's the catch. It takes a highly unconventional approach to what a business weapon actually looks like.
For our deep dive today, we're zooming in entirely on the culmination of this book, specifically Chapter 13. The title of this chapter is The Great Power Generated by a Contribution Mindset. This is where the source material completely pivots. It steps totally away from what we usually think of as aggressive, cutthroat corporate tactics. Instead, it makes the case that the absolute most potent force a leader can wield isn't coercion and it isn't capital. It's actually a mindset focused entirely on contribution.
Let's look at how that works. Section 2. Dependent Origination in Business.
At the very core of this strategy is something called the law of dependent origination. This is a foundational Buddhist teaching, which basically states that all things exist in connection and interdependence with one another. Nothing exists in isolation. So, what does that mean in business? Well, it means no company, no leader, and no employee succeeds in a vacuum. You exist because of your suppliers, your customers, and society at large. Recognizing this massive interconnected web is your absolute starting point.
The contrast here is actually pretty striking. Think about the old paradigm. It views business as this machine for profit extraction at all costs. It's highly ego-driven. It's all about what can I take from the market. But the new paradigm, which is based on dependent origination, views the market as a living, interconnected ecosystem. It's contribution-driven. When you realize that your own survival depends on the health of the entire ecosystem, extracting value until that system collapses makes literally zero sense. Instead, your primary goal becomes nourishing that system.
Which brings us to Section 3, the win-win worldview.
So to actually establish a true win-win worldview, a company has to do 3 key things. First, you have to move beyond mere profit pursuit. Yes, profit is a requirement for survival, nobody is denying that, but it cannot be your sole purpose. Second, you have to champion public spiritedness. This means viewing your company as a public institution, an entity that actually exists to serve the public good. And third, actively contribute to society. Your products, your services, your corporate actions, they absolutely must leave the community better off than it was before you got there.
Now, I know what you might be thinking. This all sounds very altruistic, right? Maybe even a bit naive for the hard-nosed business world. But our source material makes a really compelling argument that this is actually a highly strategic maneuver. True contribution generates deep trust and profound reliability. Over time, as a company consistently champions that public spiritedness, this trust evolves into something even stronger. It evolves into faith. Consumers and stakeholders develop a genuine faith in the company. And in business terms, that translates to the ultimate form of brand loyalty and resilience against any market volatility.
Let's break down how to actually implement this. Section 4. The Ultimate 5-Step Strategy. Okay, listen closely, because whatever you do, please do not mess up the step numbers here. The sequence is absolutely vital. You can't just do step 1, get stuck, and repeat step 1, then skip ahead to 3, 4, and 5. It doesn't work like that. It has to be a perfect progression, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So step 1, base your strategy on dependent origination. Step 2, establish that win-win worldview we just talked about. Step 3, champion social contribution. Doing those things naturally leads to step 4, gathering deep trust and faith, which culminates in step 5, achieving true success through a serving heart. Again, following this exact order, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, is the ultimate weapon to unlocking this framework. And that leads us to our final part, Section 5, the path to true success.
I love this quote from the source because it encapsulates the entire philosophy so beautifully. True success is driven by a serving heart, which is also equated here to a form of love that bridges personal happiness and the happiness of others. It completely erases the boundary between selfishness and selflessness. Think about it. When your ambition is truly channeled into service, your personal or corporate success becomes inherently, permanently linked to the joy and prosperity of the people you're serving.
To summarize this whole core takeaway, just look at the difference here. Temporary success pools all the benefits around just the individual or the corporation. And sure, it might look impressive for a few quarters, but it's incredibly fragile because it actively drains the ecosystem. True success, on the other hand, calls forth the prosperity of the entire society. By utilizing that exact 5-step strategy we outlined, a company's success acts like a rising tide that lifts all boats. The bigger your company grows, the better the society around it actually becomes.
We have covered a ton of ground today, moving from the philosophical depths of interconnectedness all the way to a very practical, sequence-driven 5-step business strategy. But as we all know, knowledge without action is just trivia. So I want to leave you with this final provocative thought to consider right now. How will your business contribute to society tomorrow? Not next year, not when you finally hit that big revenue target, but literally tomorrow. How can you apply a serving heart to the very next decision you make? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I really hope this sparks some incredible new value in your own work. See you next time.